Oh, we're live. What's up, everybody? About the Buckets is back.
Oh yeah,
I'm
been a
Jordan.
while.
This is Maddie. I did it right this time.
I know.
Maddie over here. Thanks for joining us this late at night. Let's see, it's 12:45 on the East Coast. Um, but yeah, how's life treating you, Maddie?
Good man. I mean, we were talking a little bit off camera. You got the wedding coming up. I'm
Yep.
trying to lose weight,
Yeah.
and just I mean, I feel like we've all been busy with stuff, so it's good
Yeah.
to finally be back.
Yep. So your Lakers made a trade.
Yeah,
Finally, trade
Rui
season. Yeah,
Hachimura. Not
I
the
know,
trade
right?
I was expecting, but the
Yeah.
trade I'm good with.
Yeah.
So obviously we were talking about it a little bit before. It was the 2 second round picks, pick swap, and Kendrick Nunn.
Yep.
I think that, too many guards on this roster.
Yep.
Lonnie Walker is going to be back. Kendrick Nunn just couldn't really find his own. He was awful to start the season and just relatively inconsistent. Um, so, I mean, you get a guy that's kind of not in the rotation and 2 second round picks and a swap, like
Yep.
for a young player that, I think has borderline all-star, potential. You never know.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's exactly what the Lakers needed. As a role player, they needed a guy that was, that 6'8", 6'9" size that can kind of guard multiple
Yeah.
positions. I think he legitimately can guard, has the potential to guard 5 positions.
Yep.
Um, and I don't know if you saw his catch and shoot three percentage, relatively high. I think it was over 40%.
Okay.
Um, so that's something that's big as
Yeah.
well, because we always
Yeah.
need shooters.
Yep.
So I'm interested. And also, too, I wanted to get your perspective because I've kind of seen some things of like, obviously, there's debate if, the Lakers are going to make more moves. One of the moves that, has always been speculated was trading for Miles Turner. Do
Yeah.
you see this as like maybe them committing to Anthony Davis playing the five, when he's back fully healthy and, Rui kind of playing next to him or something? Or
I
what do you
I
think?
I think so. I think
Okay.
with how well Anthony Davis was playing before the injury, uh, like how could you go away from that? Like he was putting up monster numbers, playing incredible, and then also Thomas Bryant has looked pretty good
Yeah.
since Anthony Davis has been out. So yeah, if I were the Lakers, I'm fine at center.
Hmm.
And the Rui, the LeBron, Anthony Davis front court, like give it a go, see what happens. So with Rui's shooting, uh, he's been pretty hot lately, but he's been streaky through his career. Like he's
Yeah.
had some seasons where he's been really good. I think he shot like 45% one year, and then he's also shot like 30%. I think there was a year he was in the 20s, might have been his rookie
Yeah.
year. But so I'm interested to see what his shooting looks like on the Lakers because obviously you have LeBron, and being a shooter off of LeBron is a pretty easy job. You just have to hit open threes, right?
Yeah. I think some of it too is, just I think that a lot of the inconsistency came from inconsistency in playing time too, right? Because I mean, the Wizards now are kind of stacked at that position, so
Yeah,
a lot of times he was an afterthought unless there was someone that went down, like Porzingis getting injured or whatnot.
yeah,
Um, but I like his per 36 stats are pretty solid.
yeah,
And I think like over the last few games he had been averaging like 14 and 8 or something like that. Don't
yep,
quote me exactly. So I mean, I like the pickup.
yeah,
I'm I mean, it's tough to
yeah,
see them guarding the pick and roll sometimes, but I think he can really
yeah,
help with that. Um,
yep.
so
And
I like Troy Brown as a defender too, but like this just gives us another,
yeah,
another guy that can defend.
so second round picks, I kind of go back and forth on how I feel about them. I feel like for the Lakers, they're pretty much worthless. Um, because I mean, we talked about this over text.
Yeah.
It is if not the number one destination, it's a top five destination. I mean, when the Lakers are good, it's the number one destination. On any
Yeah.
given year, it's a top five destination for veteran minimum contracts. And
Yeah.
like if you're getting guys like Brooke Lopez once signed a vet minimum contract there, if you're getting that type of guy on a vet minimum, like you don't need a second round pick.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
and the reality too is like the Lakers with this roster and stuff, like obviously they're not performing at the,
Yeah.
highest level but I mean, where you're picking in the second round, there's not much difference between,
Yeah.
that area and an undrafted free agent. It's more
Yep.
down to what fits your system and stuff. I mean, and if you go and look at this is what I was gonna pull before the show was like, if you go and look like 5 years ago at like the second round picks, that were selected, a vast majority, like I don't know what I would say, like 60-70 are probably playing overseas, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like you get those select role players. Like I'm looking at the 2018 draft,
Yep.
and like I mean, you get guys like Jared Vanderbilt, right?
Yeah.
Was in the second round. Bruce Brown, Jalen Brunson, but that was like towards the start. But then there's guys that I could name that you would have no idea where they're playing right now.
Honestly, like for the most part, if I was an NBA GM, I'd probably just use my mid to late second round picks on like 19-year-old kids from the Balkan countries. That I'd just be like, yeah, just that dude from Serbia. Like he's super tall, lanky, can shoot the ball.
Yeah,
like, sure.
or like a specialist, right? Like
Yeah.
if you know that someone can be elite at something,
Yep.
like that makes sense.
Yeah. But I
but
really would. I'd probably just draft foreign-born players that like maybe I can get them to come to the NBA, maybe not. But
Yeah.
like, I mean, you're really not. It's super rare to get an NBA player between like 45 and 60.
Yeah.
So I mean, what does it matter that the Lakers are getting a proven player for 2 picks that will be around the 50th pick in the draft?
I
And
think
so
it was a
what?
number 8 overall pick too. So like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
And then
And
also too,
he's
like,
solid.
yeah. And I mean, I get it. There's times like Bol, I'm pretty sure he dropped to the second round, but it was kind of towards the front. But
Yeah.
you obviously have those scenarios where there's guys, for various reasons they drop, in the second round. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, the numbers are kind of against you, right?
Yeah. Yep. So, you asked if I think another trade is coming. Is that correct?
Oh, for the Lakers or for? Yeah,
for-
I mean, I think another trade is coming. I don't know where it'll be.
yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do with Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
beginning of the season was different,
So
from now.
There was a trade I thought was very interesting that was floated on the Zach Lowe podcast, which I can't remember if he said was like actual rumors or if it was just one of his ideas or,
Mm-hmm.
But he said it was Russell Westbrook and the draft picks, like the 2 first rounders for Fred VanVleet and Gary Trent Jr., which is pretty intriguing for me. Like, I don't know if that like really moves the needle for the Lakers, but you never know with a guy like Westbrook, like high usage players, you really can get addition by subtraction when you go a different direction than high usage players.
Yeah, I think that, the Fred VanVleet is interesting. I'm not a huge fan of Gary Trent.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tough with those 2 first round picks.
Yeah.
It's I don't know, man. It's so weird watching this team.
Yeah.
It's like the chemistry is it's just like I don't know how to explain it. I've never seen like a Laker team like this before.
Yeah. Yeah. It is interesting. And I don't know. I think we're going to get to see a lot of Lakers though nationally because they're going to be broadcasting every Lakers game now until LeBron breaks the record for the all-time scoring record. So yeah, the Lakers are interesting, man, but I don't know. I think that they're going to make the playoffs though. I really do.
Oh no, I think so too. They've been playing a lot better than in the start. I think Rui's going to give them an added boost. I think they'll make a little run.
Yeah.
But
it has to shake out a little bit. And a team like my Jazz, along with some other teams. Like maybe I mean Oklahoma City's probably in the spot where they're just gonna let it roll. Like
Yeah.
I can't imagine them trying to convince Shea to sit out for the rest of the
Yeah.
season again.
No, with the season he's having, hell no.
Yeah, and he's too good. But you have to imagine a team like the Jazz will take themselves out of the mix. A team like Portland could take themselves out of the mix um, with some trades. But yeah,
Yeah, the Portland one is interesting to me because it's like you look at the guys they have. They have Jeremy Grant, Dame
Mhm.
Lillard. They obviously have Nurkic, but it's like, are they going to actually, try to contend? Are they going to
Yeah.
kind of try to blow it up? Like
Yeah.
the thing that's interesting to me though was I was listening to the Ringer podcast, and they were
Yeah.
talking about like mock trades and stuff, and they had brought
Yeah.
up Miles Turner
Yeah.
to the Blazers.
Interesting.
I don't know how I feel about that one.
Yeah.
But they were talking about some other trades as well. But they're kind of in a weird position too.
Yeah.
I don't know what piece they could really add to, you
Yeah.
know what I mean, to get them to that next level. I feel like they're just going to kind
Yeah.
of be in that middle ground.
Yeah.
And like when you look at the players available, I mean, it's like what, like Zach LaVine,
Yeah.
Miles Turner, if they end up trading him, who else? Like,
Yeah. I don't know. Dude, I think Portland should blow it up and try to trade Dame. Like I don't know what his market value would be.
we'll give you Russ and 2 first-round picks.
Yeah. I mean,
We'll
like
give
why
you
not?
Austin Reeves too.
Why not ask? That's what I was gonna say. I mean, but if you're Portland, you're thinking like you're getting away from that 50 million. You have Shaden Sharp, you have Anthony Simons, like you have some legit pieces,
No, yeah.
So I mean, the picks being in 27 and 29, that's probably a little far out for my taste.
Yeah.
Because Simons could be gone by then, and I mean, Shaden Sharp would be ending his second contract around that time. So I don't know if that's the picks that I'd want,
Yeah.
but
No, I just want it to happen, but
yeah, I thought about it though. Like I mean, if the Lakers should definitely be exploring all their avenues. I mean, you never know though. There could be a team out there who would be willing, like a third team who would be willing to
yeah.
help facilitate it, because the Lakers picks would seem a lot more valuable to a team like Orlando or San Antonio or Oklahoma City. You know, any of those teams would be much more interested in those picks than Portland would be, in my opinion.
No, absolutely, yeah.
So I don't know. I think Portland should blow it up. You have two good young guards. Like, what are you doing paying Lillard $50 million for the next 3 years or whatever? Doesn't make sense. And they're not good. They're just not good.
No.
So what do you think about Dallas? They have lost 7 of their last 10 games. They kind of had like a mini streak there for a minute, a mini run. Now they've lost 7 of 10. And might be my own bias, but it seems like there is more noise than ever about Luka. Whether, I mean, what was the report that Tim, is that his name? Tim Connolly?
Yeah, I think it's Tim Connolly.
Yeah, something like that. But he was saying that Luka has yet in his career to be pushy with personnel decisions. And for the very first time, he's like, hey, you guys really should upgrade the roster. The problem for Dallas, though, is the problem is that, like, it's not smart for them to make a move right now. If you look at their assets, if you look at their draft picks, if you look at their contract, like their cap sheet, like they should wait till the offseason. But can you wait till the offseason and keep Luka happy and waste another year of his career? That is an interesting question.
Yeah, I think it's like a teeter-totter. You
Yeah.
just don't know. It's just such a weird roster too. It's like
Yeah.
they're like trying to put a Band-Aid on a like drown, like a flooding boat or something. I don't
Yeah.
even know how to describe it. Like
Yeah.
you look at the roster and it's like Christian Wood is the second leading scorer, and
Yeah.
no knock against him, but like,
Yeah.
I always saw him as a guy that was be on a bad team that you'd pick up in fantasy, right? Like,
Well, and the thing is, like, so him and Luca, I guess, have developed some chemistry. They're pretty close, and it's going really well. And he wants 4 years, and the Mavs are like, no, we'd give you a 2-year extension. And he's like, no, I want 4 years. And so at least the last time I saw any report was that like Dallas would probably trade him if they don't agree to an extension. And it's like, what? Like you finally get a dude where Luke is like, okay, I got a dude, and then it's like, yeah, we don't want to pay him for 4 years, so he's gone. I mean, that's risky. That's playing with fire right there.
I mean, so like if you look back on that Mavericks team that won the NBA championship,
Yeah,
like around Dirk, like, I mean, it was mainly role players, right? Like, because like I'm trying to remember, like none of those guys made an All NBA team that year, right? Because it was like
Tyson Chandler might have.
Oh yeah, or at least all defensive team for sure.
Yeah,
but I mean, yeah, I mean it's kind of easier to make it as a center, right?
for sure.
Yeah. And then Jason Terry, like Josh Howard, and
Vince Carter,
who else was
Jason
on that?
Kidd.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, Jason Kidd. But I mean, it was like I don't know if you can really do that now in this era. Like you kind of need the superstars. That stat that I feel like you mention every show of who's won the past like 11 championships, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Of it being LeBron, Steph, Giannis, or Kawhi, right?
Yeah.
They're like responsible for the past whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and you got it.
And Giannis only got his because injuries eliminated the other 3 guys from contention that year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not to take it away from Giannis because he's the best player on earth right now, but I mean, who knows?
Well, I mean, you could almost say the same thing for Kawhi too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I mean, Kawhi got the one in San Antonio.
Oh, that's true. Though, yeah.
But if if KD and Clay don't go down, he probably doesn't get it in Toronto.
It would have been Steph, yeah, and
yeah,
KD and stuff.
So, yeah, I mean,
I just like what I don't like. What move can they make? Like what pieces on their roster? Because I haven't looked at their like contract situations. Like who can they even move? It doesn't make sense, right? It's like you said, you have to kind of wait till the off season, right?
There's not really anything. Like let me pull up their salaries right now. But
like, what does Spencer Dinwiddie make? Like $9 million or something?
I think he's closer to 20. But like,
oh wow,
but he's good though. And for the Mavericks, he's their only other dude that can initiate. So, like, if you're the Mavericks, Spencer Dinwiddie is untouchable, unless you're significantly upgrading your secondary ball handler.
Well, I was thinking like you trade. Okay, so let me ask you this: would you trade Dinwiddie for Zach LaVine? Like, would you some sort of package to get Zach LaVine?
So, not that I don't like Zach LaVine,
but you don't like Zach LaVine.
Well, not a huge fan of Zach LaVine, but his contract would scare the daylights out of me if I was Dallas. Because let's say he gets there, his injury concerns continue to bother him, and or just let's say Dallas is still just not that good. And then Luka's like, yeah, I want out, and then you're stuck with Zach LaVine for the next 4 years at a max deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, wasn't it like $250 million that they signed him to, or something like that?
Yeah, it was something insane. Yeah.
So Spencer Dinwiddie is this year and next year at about $20 million per season.
By the way, Spencer Dinwiddie had 36 points tonight against the Suns.
Nice.
So
nice,
got the win.
Yeah, Dinwiddie's 20 this year and 21 next year. But my thing is like, so Tim Hardaway Jr. has this season and then 2 additional seasons left. And so no one's trading for that. Davis Bertans has this season and oh my gosh, he has 2 more seasons. He has a 1+1 player option after this year.
What about Reggie Bullock?
Reggie Bullock so this year for 10, next year for 10.5.
Yeah, he has
But
not been.
I know he's been bad this year though.
He's been really bad. He's like,
So
did you see his free throw percentage? He's shooting like 65% from the free throw
So
free
that's
throw
the
line
thing,
as a
is like,
shooter.
dude, the Mavs have nothing. They have JaVale McGee for 2 more years at the mini mid level. So like 5.5 this year, 5.7 next year, and player option for 6 the year after that. So, dude, their cap sheet is horrendous, and they don't have their full complement of picks because they traded, they traded some for Porzingis, and then they traded one for Christian Wood as well. I mean, really, the only positive players that they have long term is Dorian Finney-Smith and Maxi Kleba, both at pretty decent numbers.
Yeah.
But everything else is kind of just garbage, dude.
Burn it.
Dude, well that's what I'm saying though. So like what could you realistically get? I think they can trade one pick and then do some pick swaps. Maybe they could get a second pick. But let's just say, what could you get for Spencer Dinwiddie, Christian Wood, and 2 draft picks? Considering that Wood's expiring and Dinwiddie has 1 year left.
How much does that add up to? The contracts?
That would give you 34 million. So you'd have a max space. You could get Donovan Mitchell hypothetically, like that level of max, not a super max, just a normal max.
Not Dame. I was gonna say, because a Dame and Luka, oh my god, duo would actually be pretty sick.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any. The only superstar that I think that would be like available to be traded would probably be Dame, that could make like that much of a difference. But then what are you giving up? Like, do they even agree to it?
Yeah. And what does the team look around him? Like, you're just relying on
that's what I'm saying.
Like, Maxi Kleba, and he's hurt right now. He had a knee injury that I think he's still out. I would have to double check that, but he had a knee injury. But it's like, you're really just relying on him, that Kleba's your only big man?
Yeah.
It's worth his salt. I mean, I guess Dorian Finney-Smith can play some 4. But, Dwight Powell's not that good.
No. I think you'd have to like fully commit to like small ball, but then like, do you even have a guy that is that versatile piece that can like play make at that 4 position, and guard that position as well?
Yep.
And I don't think they really do. I mean, Dorian Finney-Smith, I think, kind of has that, but like not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Josh Green, I forgot about him. He's having a good year, young shooting guard. But the thing is like, do you want to trade your only young player that could turn out to be decent? Like, I don't know. He's probably one of their best assets, but it's like, what do you do if you trade Josh Green? Like, if Luka is unhappy after you trade Josh Green, you have nothing for the future. You have literally nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the only other young player that they have would be like Jaden Hardy, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at their roster right now. Like, that's the only guy that they might be able to. But I mean, I don't think he's played enough to.
Yeah.
Really like,
dude,
build up some buzz in that regard.
I don't think it's being talked enough about like how terrible the Mavericks have managed their roster since Luka was drafted. And I don't entirely fault them, because like you don't really draft a top 3 guy thinking that you're going to be contenders in 2 years.
Yeah.
They traded up from the 5 spot, but you don't draft a guy and then it's like, oh, we need a championship roster around him in 2 years because he's going to be first team all NBA as a 20-year-old. That doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. The last guy to do that was Larry Bird. Nope, Tim Duncan. It's Tim Duncan. So the last guy to be as good as Luka, as quick as Luka, was Tim Duncan. And how do you anticipate that? You can't.
Yeah, and you could say, you know, that had a lot to do with the system he was in as well, you know.
Yeah.
So Mavericks not expecting that in their, you know,
Yeah. Yep. And
franchise.
whiffing on the Porzingis trade was unfortunate, but I mean they made it worse by extending Tim Hardaway Jr. You know, like that's terrible.
I don't understand that. I've never like
Yeah.
he's a scorer, but it's like, dude, like how is
I'm not
he? I
I'm
don't know.
not
I
sure
don't
he's
want to
that
bag
good.
on him, man. No, he's
I'm not
not.
sure yeah. So
You know, the only highlight that I remember is Tim Hardaway Jr. that like is memorable that like people
yeah.
talk about was like when him and Dion Waiters got into that like one-on-one in the rookie sophomore game.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, where's Dion Waiters now? And
Yeah.
Tim Hardaway, yeah, I don't know.
Dude, and then the Davis Bertans deal Bertans is just so terrible. I know like how do you trade Porzingis and have to take Bertans back?
I told you that too. Remember we talked about? Remember on the show
Yeah.
we were, or was it on the show or we were in the comments? I was like, oh man, Bertans.
Yeah. I was
There's
hopeful for Bertans. I was very high on Spencer Dinwiddie, which I'm glad I was, I saw that coming. But I really thought like Bertans would be playable next to Luca.
yeah. Well, and good for Spencer Dinwiddie too. He's a nice dude. I met him at Summer League. He's a really cool dude.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, he's had limited roles in the places he's been, you know, so
Yeah.
he's you know, obviously he's playing with Luca, but he has a good opportunity because no one else can score on the team besides Christian Wood. But
Yeah, I know there's kind of one, I think people lump Luca into like, well, Dirk never left. It's like, well, Luca's
yeah,
not Dirk. He's
is it? Yeah, I was like, is it not wrong too? Like, I mean, like Jalen Brunson doesn't really change anything, right? In your mind?
I mean, kind of.
But
Like,
like, do you really think they're like vastly like it really changes them from being what are they? What's their seating right now in the West?
so
Like the sixth
I agree
or
with you.
something?
Yeah, I agree that Brunson doesn't change much there. What I think he does change is Luca's perception of the team.
Oh, okay. I got that. Okay.
Because if I'm the Mavericks, I'm much more worried like how is Luca feeling about everything rather than how are we actually doing? Because like let's say something happens to the Mavericks and they miss the playoffs. And at the end of the season, Luca's like, "Hey, I'm all good, happy as a clam. Like, let's just come back next year and do it again." It's like, all right, we have one of the 2 or 3 best players on earth, and he's happy. Like, there is nothing wrong, and like it really comes down to the Mavericks' future depends on Luca's attitude.
Yeah. No, I
So,
think so. Yeah.
so I agree with you though. I don't think Brunson is like a monumental change for the outlook of this year's team. But I mean, maybe he would cause Luca to be like, there is hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel on this
Yeah.
team.
That makes sense. Should we get into the All-Star voting? What do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let me pull it up here before
Yeah, I
we
need
know
to
the
find it as well.
starters, right?
Yeah, I think that's all they announced tonight.
Yeah, that's all they announced. What did you think of because I mean everything was pretty
Yeah.
standard. Was there anything though that caught you by surprise with with the starters? I know some people were clamoring for Joel Embiid.
Yeah. It's unfortunate for Embiid. But I mean, he wouldn't have been a wrong choice for the front court of the East. But I mean, at the same time, it's not like he got snubbed. I'm not going to be like, I can't believe they chose Kevin Durant over Joel Embiid.
No, Kevin Durant's putting up some percentages too,
Yeah.
man. Like he's shooting really efficiently.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like Embiid is an MVP candidate this year, but I mean, so is Jason Tatum, so is Kevin Durant, so is Giannis. So
Yeah.
Embiid he's going to have an interesting career when you look back on it because he keeps missing first team All NBA because of Nikola Jokic.
Mhm.
And he's going to miss out on stuff like this. And it's not that he isn't that level because he is on the level of those guys. But I mean, it's just the way it is, It is what it is in the sense of I'm not kicking any of those three dudes out of the starting front court for Joel Embiid. Just like if Embiid got it, I wouldn't be like, I can't believe Embiid's starting over Jason Tatum. Like, I'd be fine with it, Be
Yeah.
like, yeah, Embiid's really good this year.
Can I be honest? So I think I have a problem with one person on here.
Okay.
And so it might come across as it being a hater. I don't know. But to me, the Zion thing is a little
Okay.
bit too soon.
Yeah.
How many? I mean, he's missed what, like 15, 16 games, something like
Yep.
that. And he's out still, right? Like for another 2 weeks or something like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
To me, and then like Shea's not in the start. Like that's like he's putting up some of the craziest numbers in the league
Yeah.
right now. And to me, it kind of goes to the voting. You
Yeah.
talk about the backcourt, front court. And honestly, like this might be a really hot take, but I think you almost just do away with front court and back court altogether.
Okay.
I think you just vote, and it's with the perception of like you need to have, guys that can do things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it shouldn't be, I don't know. It's to me like versatility is such a huge thing. And
Yeah.
to label someone as a front court, back court player now is even almost in itself kind of hard to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think especially there's a because like explain to me why Kevin Durant and Jason Tatum are front court players.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I get that they're both 6'10" or taller.
Because they're tall. Yeah.
Yeah, but what part of their game is I mean, if anything, they play more like a shooting guard than anything,
Yeah.
And I mean, at times they play like a point guard. So yeah, I don't think that's wrong. I think I don't know. I was hoping for Lauri Markkanen to get that starting spot. I mean, Zion.
Well, I would have
Yeah.
taken Lauri Markkanen actually even over Zion, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's like he's put up numbers, man, right?
Yeah.
But like he's been out for, I mean, is he? I mean, you never know. He might. I mean, he not. When's the All-Star game? February, like what? It's usually mid-February, right?
Yeah.
Like around Valentine's Day. So
Yeah.
I mean, you never know. He could even just be out, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, maybe Lauri starts, right? That's like throw him in there to replace him.
That'd be kind of cool.
Injured. That would be cool. But I'm glad that I mean, well, I hope, because we don't know for the subs, I hope that De'Aaron Fox makes it, because I think he's having a really good season. I even think Sabonis too should.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's like you said too, and I give you props. At the end of last season, you said look at De'Aaron Fox's numbers after playing with Sabonis and stuff, and he's been super efficient. He's shooting over like 50%. He's shooting pretty well from 3 too, and some good free throw numbers, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Only reason I know that is because he's on my fantasy team. So shout out to you, Jordan. Took your advice, drafted him. So, but yeah, no, I mean, and what are they in the West?
I think they're like in the third spot right now.
Yeah, which is insane. Light the beam. Kevin Huerter playing out of his mind too.
I know. Dude, I need to watch more Kings this year. I've only caught a few of their games, but I'm pumped about it. I being a small market guy, I love to see other small market teams succeed.
Yeah.
Except for the Spurs, they had their chance, or they had their time to shine.
Yeah.
So.
But
so Kyrie Irving, I mean, I can't really think of anyone who should start over Kyrie Irving, but at the same time, it's like,
Well, yeah, because I mean, Donovan Mitchell's the size of a point guard, but he doesn't play point guard.
Yeah. Yeah, I just, man, I don't really feel like Kyrie Irving is having like this guy should start in the All-Star game kind of season.
Yeah. So. But you know what's going to happen? And it doesn't, obviously this is more about the season, but he's going to like light it up in the All-Star game.
Oh, yeah.
That's what always happens with the point guards.
He's pure hooper.
Pure hooper.
Right. Is that what they're saying these days for guys that don't play team basketball?
Pure
They're
hooper,
pure hoopers.
just a bucket getter.
Yeah, they can't do anything besides make fadeaways from the elbow, but pure hooper,
That's funny.
like DeMar DeRozan.
Who else do we have in the East that I'm trying to think of like bordered? Oh, people were talking about Aaron Gordon maybe
Yeah.
making it for how the Nuggets are doing and stuff.
Interesting.
I think you look at his efficiency stats and like they were comparing it to Andrew Wiggins
Yeah,
of
last year. Yeah.
I think he's definitely found his role. I don't know if he'll make the All-Star. There's just too many good guys. But Tyrese Halliburton too.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know how many games he's been out because I know he's dealt with a few injuries. But that's another guy. Not sure if he's going to make it as well, but someone's always going to get left off, right?
Yeah, for sure. There was dude, I'd love to see my guy Bojan Bogdanovic get some love. He's been really,
Yeah.
really good in Detroit, but I think they'll be like, no, your team sucks too bad. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he'll get on with an injury reserve spot.
Yeah. I was trying to find because you sent the list of like fan voting versus media. I was trying to find it for the East, but I was like, I just can't find it.
Yeah.
How do you like the voting of having? I think Austin Reeves was pretty high up there.
Dude, fan voting will always just be the worst.
He's the new Caruso, man. In terms of getting those votes.
Yeah.
But
jeez. So, a team that are you ready to move on from All-Star stuff? Because I have a question for you.
Yeah, you're good.
So, the Timberwolves, the much hooplaed Timberwolves. I was pushing them pretty hard in the preseason.
Yeah, you were.
They've been a very weird team this year. Everyone in the media kind of hates on them. Like, says, wow, they suck. I mean, I get it. They made a big trade. But if you look at it, they're like, what, 2 games out of 5th place or something like that?
Yeah.
So, or no, they're a game and a half out of 4th place before tonight. So I don't know where they're at right now. And that's missing Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, he's been out for more than half the season. So
and their record, they were 500 with Towns. They're 500 without Towns. If you're Minnesota, what are you thinking right now in terms of, are you like, let's let Towns come back? Or does the early season scare you into being like, having cold feet about this Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert marriage? And, maybe just see what Towns, the type of stuff he'd get on the open market for a trade.
From like a standpoint of like looking at their roster and like I've only seen probably like, to be honest with you, like 1-2 games maybe.
Yeah.
I know one was when Cat was playing and I can't remember the last one.
Yep.
But it's a weird fit in that like I think we both thought that D'Angelo Russell was going to have more of an impact than he's having. I don't have his stats in front of me, but I know his shooting percentages are probably lower than they've been.
Yeah. I was hoping that he'd embrace like a playmaker role, and
that's not happening.
Yeah, kind of get back to like the pick and roll stuff that he was doing with Jared Allen in Brooklyn when he was had his All-Star year. Dude, he's just same old D'Angelo Russell, like taking shots away from Anthony Edwards, just kind of lone wolf style of basketball player, and it's just like what are you doing, dude? So
yeah. No, and I mean, it was kind of weird because it's like coming into the league, like when he was in college, he was known for, being a playmaker and some of that, playmaking ability and stuff. And he kind of switched over from that.
Yeah.
I would have thought like with the spacing, because spacing in college is completely different from NBA, that was something he would, develop more so
Yeah.
into, but I feel like the longer he's been in the league, we've seen less and less of it.
Yeah.
Um, but now it's gotten to the point where he looks uncomfortable trying to get his own. Um, like honestly, I'm kind of leaning towards, maybe even trying to trade D'Lo and get someone that's
Yeah.
more of a pass first option.
Yeah. There
I
was
just
kind
don't
of
know.
some rumors that the Heat had some interest in a Kyle Lowry
Yeah,
for D'Angelo Russell swap, and I guess the Timberwolves, from what the reports were saying, was that the Timberwolves didn't want to take back the money.
yeah.
Because
Well,
Lowry
Lowry
has
still has what, like 3 years?
I th- I can't remember if he signed a 3 or 4 year deal, but he has at least this year and next year.
Yeah, and yeah. I don't know how I like that. I mean,
At
if it was
30
more of
million to
like
pop. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know
So
about that.
I don't know what you do if you're the Timberwolves, but I don't know. It's kind of weird because the media's been hating on them so much, and it's just like, yeah, they're right there, you know?
Yeah, I think that they're just missing like a few pieces. Like I like the Kyle Anderson, like because he's someone that can
Yeah.
actually, he'll play make the right
Yeah.
pass. But like they just need,
Yeah.
another guard that can do
Yeah.
that, and they don't have that. Like I
Yeah.
don't.
So, and they were missing Torian Prince for the bulk of the season as well.
Yeah, and
And
he's a good role player
he's
too.
been really good next to Gobert. Like
Yeah.
when Gobert and Prince are on the floor together, like it's a good fit. So
Well, it changes your mentality as a defender too. Like when
yeah,
you have someone like Gobert, you can take a little
yep,
bit more risk. You can guard a certain way.
yeah,
So it makes sense. But
yeah,
it's, dude, give me Ricky Rubio back here.
right. Dude, I don't know. I'd be tempted. I say trade Cat just because there's no way that you're recouping the value in Gobert that you
No.
just gave up for him, right? Like Gobert is kind of sunk cost at this point. It's like you traded 5 first round draft picks to get him. Maybe you could get 3, probably not. You're probably getting 2 and a good player at best. But I mean,
What are you looking for though if you move Cat? You looking for a wing player? What are you looking for?
good question.
Because I
Um,
don't even know. Because like if like D'Lo is part of the trade or he's not, like I don't know where I would go.
I would probably look for like a wing, but also a solid point guard. So like I want a guy that can run the offense and well, I'll just use the Jazz as an example. I mean, this trade wouldn't happen because I don't think the Jazz would have any interest. But let's say you could trade Karl Anthony Towns for Mike Conley and Lauri Markkanen. Like that's the
Mhm.
type of thing that I'd go for.
Yeah.
So like you have
Okay.
your all-star wing, and then you have a guy that can run the offense, but can also just be like Anthony Edwards, take it. I'm just gonna shoot in the corner. That type of thing.
That'd
I
be a
mean,
filthy lineup.
I feel like that's ideal. Is
Yeah.
is getting a high level wing and then like a smart floor general who can shoot. A role playing point guard.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, who would want Karl Anthony Towns though? And I don't say that
That's what I was thinking about. I don't know
I don't say that in a disrespectful way, but
in
I've
terms of
always
fit and
and I've always felt like he was more uh more style than substance in the sense of like people loved him way more than he was good.
yeah.
And so it's like if you're the Celtics, I mean, I don't think you're willing to give up enough pieces to get Towns. And when you get Towns, it's like, what's your identity now?
Yeah.
Because it was the gritty defense. I mean, I guess this year they've been more of an offensive team. Um, but like, what's your identity now if you have Cat at center? And I'm not trading Jaylen Brown to get him.
Yeah.
So I don't even know. I don't even know what the market would be or like who would be interested. I mean, maybe Sacramento's interested. Like maybe Keegan Murray and Davion Mitchell and a whole bunch of draft picks, but like I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know how I like this Sabonis and
Yeah.
because you got two bigs that don't play defense. Like, I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's fair. I don't know what you do.
Yeah.
You trade Damian Lillard for him?
Oh man. If you're the, I mean, if you're the Blazers, like, what are you looking to do, right? Like, are you trying to? How many years does Towns have? He's because he
He
got
just barely signed a supermax.
yeah,
He has
he
four and
just
a half
barely
years
signed.
left.
Yeah. So I mean, unless you're trying to just like keep fans coming and that's what you're trying to do, then I could see it.
How old's Jeremy Grant? I actually might be able to talk myself into this one.
Yeah, I was
'Cause
actually thinking of it but I didn't want to, I already
yeah,
mentioned Dame once, but
yeah. Because like you have Shaden Sharp, you have Anthony Simons. I'd probably want a guy who's a little more stable as a floor general. Um,
mhm.
with them, but like you have two great guards. You have Jeremy Grant, you have Cat. It's like that team's young enough that they could all play together for like 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you're better anytime soon. You might get a little bit worse, but like 3 years down the line, you might be pretty good.
So 33 mil. I'm looking at the difference in so Dame is like 42 mil. It's like a 9 mil difference. Do they have cap space? Oh.
So if you're Minnesota, you have to attach somebody, right? So
Yeah, I would think like it would be like I mean, I get like Torian Prince would kind of work, but I don't know if you really
yeah,
want to give him
I
up.
wouldn't give up Torian
There's
Prince.
no other. It's either Kyle Anderson, Torian Prince. Yeah, I mean, unless you are. I mean, you said Jeremy Grant too, right?
Yeah,
I mean, Jeremy Grant for Towns and oh well, Russell's making like
yeah.
oh actually that would kind of match up, but you'd have to work out like picks and stuff.
Yeah. I
Dame
mean,
and Jeremy Grant for D'Lo and Towns.
if I'm Portland, I would have a hard time giving up Jeremy Grant there.
He
You
only
know?
has 1 year left, right?
Oh,
So I
okay.
mean, like,
Yeah.
is he gonna come back if
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
I don't know.
And then, I mean, are you happy with that foundation if you're Portland? If you're like, I have Sharp, I have Simons, and I have Cat. It's a lot of dudes that love to score points and
Yeah,
not play
I don't know.
defense.
I mean, you still have you have Josh Hart at least.
Right?
Uh,
And Gary Payton the third.
I mean, I guess what you could do actually instead of D'Lo and Jeremy Grant is if you you include Josh Hart and then you throw like Torian Prince in because I feel like that would be you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Only thing is the money would kind of not match actually. I don't know,
Yeah.
sorry, playing with the trade machine.
Yeah. I mean,
But
that is a team. How insane would it be to try to put Cat and Joel Embiid together?
Cat and Joel,
Yeah.
I don't know, because like you think about like when Al Horford was on the squad too, right?
Yeah.
Al Horford had like some of the worst years statistically that he's ever had, and I think of
Yeah.
him as someone who's pretty versatile,
Yeah.
like at least offensively, and he plays defense. But
Yeah.
I don't know how the fit would be with that.
Okay, hold on. Just out of curiosity, no way this would happen. But James Harden for Karl Anthony Towns.
Dude, if I'm this, I don't know, man, because you're thinking Tyrese Maxey taking over that point guard position, expanded role. Like I see it, but like I just don't know how it would work with Embiid and
Yeah. No,
Karl
that's
Anthony
fair. That's
Towns.
fair. I just started to think if you're Minnesota, you'd be like, man, James Harden at this age, the way that he's playing now, next to Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert and Kyle
Shit,
Anderson
man.
and all the I'd be like, man, I don't know. That would be kind of interesting.
Yeah,
I love talking trades.
I know. I'm trying to think now of like another team that could.
Bradley Beal, but he has a no trade
Bradley
clause.
Beal. Yeah, he has a no trade clause.
And
He'd have to.
to be honest, though, if I was Minnesota, I'd be like, yeah, you're gonna have to throw in a lot of draft picks for that.
Yeah. What about like working out something with the well, would they even want that? Like working something out with the Pacers?
Dude, I don't know. I don't even know what they'd give up though. Like I don't know if the Pacers have anything to catch my eye if I'm Minnesota.
Yeah. Oh, I was forgetting about Rudy Gobert being on the team. I was thinking
Yeah.
straight up just Miles Turner and
Yeah.
I mean the only other shit,
Dude, what
man.
if what if you call Atlanta and you're
I
like,
was gonna say Atlanta because John Collins.
or Trey Young?
Oh,
Like, who says no first if it's like Rudy Gobert or sorry, Carl Anthony Towns for Trey Young, no draft picks?
so it's just straight up.
Yeah.
I feel like the Hawks do.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would depend on the culture that's
Because like I'll be honest, I've not been like super high on Carl Anthony Towns. So
I'm
like
not either.
because of like,
Yeah.
everything, and
Yeah.
like I mean, it's kind of similar of like when Kevin Love was putting up the numbers on the T Wolves,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
he's just not. I mean, he hasn't shown that he can be the best player on a team
Yeah.
that essentially even makes the playoffs
Yeah.
almost even at that. So
Yeah.
it's like I see him as like maybe on a playoff team being like the second best player or third best. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so it's like we're talking about guys like Trey Young, whether it was fluky or not, led his team,
Yeah.
way farther than I think Carl Anthony Towns will ever be.
Yeah.
Granted, he's a guard, and guards control the pace, control the game, at this in the NBA, but
Yeah.
it's really weird trying to figure out the value of Carl Anthony Towns
Yeah.
because like at least Rudy Gobert statistically and like everything like
Yeah.
he's historically like one of the greatest rim protectors of all
Yeah.
time. Like
And
you know what I mean? Like
yeah. And so even though he's having the worst year of his career since he's become a starter, I pulled up like defensive like analytics stats and of
mhm.
course he's there at the top again for, it was one of those charts that showed the relationship between deterring field goal attempts at the rim and then when people do shoot what their field goal percentage is, and of course Rudy is out in no man's land by himself as like the perfect hybrid of people don't shoot on me and when they do I stifle their percentage.
Yeah. I
And
talked to I mean, that, I talk to Davon Reed every
yeah,
once in a while,
yeah,
and I wanted to get a player's perspective. It was when like you were having a debate with someone about Rudy Gobert and they were saying, "Oh, he's trash," and da da da.
yeah,
And so I asked him, and he's like, dude, like seeing it up close and everything, like his ability to alter shots, like because you don't keep a stat like that. Like I don't know,
yeah,
maybe there's some crazy advanced stat,
yeah,
but like he's by far, you know, the highest. Like he would lead that category by like I don't even know, like times 3 or something, like some
yeah,
insane amount. Um, just because of his length and his mobility for his size.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's how do we see? We get back to talking to Rudy Gobert. I don't even know how this happens.
My fault.
Yeah, he's good. Okay, Jordan.
It's
Jesus.
always my fault. I know. No, but dude, thinking of Towns trades is such an enigma to me. Because like, if Atlanta, I mean, I know there was kind of a dust up with the media around them, in the sense of like Trey
Oh,
and their head
disrespecting
coach.
the coach. What's his name again? The coach.
I can't. I keep thinking JB
Is it?
Bickerstaff, but he's in Cleveland. Um,
Um,
can't think of his name right now.
no, it's the guy that was the Blazers coach, right?
Yeah. Yep.
McClellan,
Nate McMillan.
Nick McMillan.
Yeah.
That's what his name
Yep.
is.
Yeah, and so I think a potential Trey for Cat swap would solely depend on the Hawks organization souring on Trey Young. Um, but like that is kind of interesting.
You know what I would actually like for them?
What?
This like speaking of the Hawks, I don't even know if the money matches up. Like me, I just throw out ideas.
Yeah.
Would be a DeJounte Murray and John Collins for Cat
That'd be
just for
really.
the T Wolves, just for the
Yeah.
like obviously that would be, you know,
Yeah. That'd be amazing.
Think of that defensively, because Anthony Edwards is like a dog.
Yeah,
DeJounte Murray, and you have Rudy Gobert. John Collins isn't like the best defender, but he's pretty mobile and can guard,
yeah. And
relatively decent.
I'm actually really high on John Collins for what he is. I like him because I'm a believer that his career trajectory has kind of gone down every season.
Mhm.
But that's coincided with Trey Young kind of having his issues with controlling the ball and kind of just playing like Trey Young, I guess. But in Collins' good years, he's been an above average shooter from every spot on the floor. And he's an athletic finisher that catches lobs, and he's been decent for like a small, like a stretch four kind of guy. Like he's a good rim protector for being a stretch four.
Yeah.
Like he's not a guy that you just want to throw out there on it center for 20 minutes a game, but like he can do it in stretches.
Well, and he can guard guards pretty well too, like in wing
Yeah,
players, like for his
yeah,
size. He's just it's kind of funny because he's like I don't know what I was listening to, but they called him kind of a tweener, and like I
yeah,
get that, but like I don't even think it's like necessarily like a negative thing.
yeah.
Um, but
I
because
think he's
he's versatile.
I think he's just been miscast a little bit. I don't think playing
Yeah.
with Trey Young is good for him.
Dude, shit. If the Lakers trying to get him, I would take him in a heartbeat.
Dude, same with I mean, the Jazz have been connected to him for years, and it's like, yeah, sign me up. Like,
Yeah.
who do they want? I mean,
Give
the
me give
rumor,
me
the rumor,
Bogdanovich and give me John Collins for
yeah,
Russell Westbrook, and we'll give you the picks.
yeah,
They would never do that, but
yeah. The rumor for the Jazz was Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt for John Collins, and it was like, yeah,
oh, that's
sign me up,
easy.
dude.
I
Yeah,
know he's so undervalued now. I don't understand. I think it's because like there's like a certain expectation. Like you see it with like Bull of like,
mhm,
you expect these guys to come out in like 2-3 years, be a certain type of player, but it takes time to develop. Like Giannis wasn't someone
yeah,
who, his first year or two was dominant. It took
yep,
him like what, like 4 or 5 years even.
yep, yep,
It, you know what I mean? It's just,
yep,
there's different, what's the word? Like it takes people longer to develop,
yeah,
for
yeah,
whatever reason. Um,
yeah.
and
It's just different
sometimes they
pace.
need a change of scenery.
Yeah, I mean, look at
And I
Lowry
think
Markkinen.
honestly, for John Collins too, for him to take that next step, I think he does need to
Yeah,
do it somewhere else.
I agree. I would actually like to see him get more of a featured role rather than just being a role man, athletic finisher, and then like a spot up shooter. I would really like to see what he can do with more responsibility on offense.
I'd like to see him on the Mavericks.
Yeah,
That would actually be really nice.
yeah. Him and Christian Wood together would be an incredibly athletic pairing in their front court. I'm not sure the Mavericks could get him. I mean, maybe a first round pick and jeez, I don't know who they trade, but
I don't know either. I
and
think it's ugly. I don't know.
yeah, I mean maybe they give Reggie Bullock and hang on,
Uh,
let me pull up their cap sheet really quick. I'm intrigued by this now. Um, so Collins is what, like 25 million ish?
23.5. I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, so I guess
He makes 25 next year though, so
yeah.
you're
So I mean, I guess if it just depends on if does Atlanta want actual contributors? Do they just want to get off his salary? I mean, that depends, but
I mean the trade rumors you were saying, obviously you have to take rumors with a grain of salt, but it's like the rumors, like it's like I mean, it's almost like they don't value him as,
I know.
with what
Yeah.
his potential is and whatnot.
So I mean, maybe you're just like Reggie Bullock and Dwight Powell in a first round pick.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if Atlanta says yes to that, but I think Dallas absolutely should. You know, I bet.
Maybe you can trick him into taking Davis Bertans.
Right?
We have this guy, great for the pick and roll. Trey,
Yeah,
he's gonna drain threes.
yeah. We have a very tall white guy from the Baltics that shoots really well.
Hmm.
It's like, yeah, it may or may not be Kristaps Porzingis. It might be Davis Bertans.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, we're gonna have to do a trade deadline show because that's gonna be awesome.
Yep.
It's only like 3 weeks away, right? Like it's coming up because it's near the All-Star game.
I
So
think it's I think it's less than 3 weeks. I think it's February 9th or 10th, if I'm not mistaken.
oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that the Lakers end up doing something.
Yeah.
I mean, I think your Jazz end up doing something
I
maybe,
hope
right?
so, man. They need
Yeah.
to sell hard.
So it'll be interesting. I think Zach LaVine will be on the move. I think John Collins will probably
Yeah.
be on the move. Miles Turner, I mean, I know they might work that out, but I mean, for him openly saying like giving a pitch of why he should be going to the Lakers, I feel
Yeah.
like he's,
Yeah.
because I think he's a free agent after this year, right? He might have a player or team option.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're willing to risk him walking, like,
Yep. So I think as a Jazz fan, I think Collins would be probably the only guy where like the roster looks better after the trade
mhm.
that I'm happy about. I think we should sell other than that. But what do you think, in your opinion, what do you think the viability of like a Lowry Markkinen, John Collins, Walker Kessler front court would be?
Wait, sorry, what be? Like I
Lowry
heard the
Markkinen, John Collins, like the viability of it. Like, could they play together?
Yeah, because I think that Laurie Markkinen and John Collins have, a versatility and
Yeah.
I mean, Laurie Markkinen is at his best we've seen when he's playing, I know basketball's positionless, but when he's more of that 3-man
Yeah.
role, not just on the block or whatever,
Yeah.
I think I would like, as much as I hate Walker Kessler, and we've said this, I think he's a good young player that
Yeah.
can develop into something. That's all I'm going to say about him. If he can, because like the thing was like he was, so obviously you guys know I watch a lot of college basketball, but he was someone that like, he got played off the floor when they played against Miami
Yeah.
because he couldn't guard, someone that was shorter, quicker, and whatnot. His footwork has looked better, but I think when you have those two guys, you have Laurie Markkinen or you have John Collins, I mean, specifically, I think that kind of, helps him a little bit because I think John Collins has, he's not the greatest defender like we've said, but like his versatility and his athleticism for his size, I think kind of adds something. I would be really intrigued to see that. If Walker Kessler can add that 3-point shot though, too, that he started doing in college, he was just a little inconsistent with it. I mean, that's a good young, young core. How old is John Collins, by the way? He's only like 24,
20,
25, right?
25. Yeah.
Yeah.
And dude, as a 22-year-old, he averaged like 21 and 10.
Insane.
Yeah.
And I think that's why people are so like out on him because, he did that at such a young age, but then it's like he hasn't taken steps, right? Or whatnot.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it is being overshadowed by Trae
Yeah.
Young, and
Yeah.
his usage rate and everything.
Yep.
So
Yep. And the thing is like Trae Young, when you have Trae Young and you have a guy like DeAndre Hunter on the roster, it's like Young makes Hunter more valuable because of his defense, right?
yeah.
Like it's just a bad fit for Collins. Like he just doesn't fit into that roster. He doesn't fit next to Trae Young when you have Capella and Hunter like bookending him in the lineup. Like I just don't like it.
Yeah. No, it's true. I think I don't know. I think especially too with the mix of like throwing in DeJounte Murray and whatnot. I know he's been out too this year, but
yeah,
I don't know, man. I think that role players get, undervalued. All great championships have them, and I think that there has to be an adjustment on one side, whether it's, Trae Young or, maybe the Hawks just have to deal Trae Young. I don't know. But I mean, John Collins to me, like, I mean, because I don't think they're gonna deal Trae Young. It's John Collins to me is, on the move somewhere.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard any sound bites or anything of him. Like, I don't know if he's over being there. I would think that he'd want an expanded role though, because
Yeah.
I mean, he's too talented to not have that.
Yeah. I think Toronto might sell. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's another, sorry. I know we
Okay.
said half an hour, but like now when we start talking and everything, the Toronto roster is so weird because they have so many guys that are like 6'8", 6'9", that can kind of play make and
Yeah.
whatever. And like I get it, Scotty Barnes is like a great young talent, and I think that he's someone like they do not, he's untouchable in my opinion, just because of his versatility and stuff.
Yeah.
But I just don't know what the fit with I almost said TVD, but I meant
FVV. Fred VanVleet.
Fred VanVleet. I don't know
Yeah.
why I was like, wait, TVD? No, that's not right. Yeah, I don't know the fit with VanVleet. I'm not high on Gary Trent at all. Like
Yeah.
last season, he averaged like an absurd amount of steals, and people thought he was good at defense, but he's not good at defense at all. Yeah, I just don't know. Like, yeah, to me, it's like a blow up, but
Yeah. I agree, dude. Pascal Siakam getting traded would be like, I would be very intrigued to see where he would end up because he's good. He's really good.
no, he's really good, and yeah, and one of the most underappreciated
Yeah.
guys in the league. Like they have way too much talent,
Yeah.
like overall as a team, to be where they are. What are they like? They're not even in. What are they like? 12th in the East or something?
Yeah.
11th,
They're pretty
something
bad
like
this
that.
year.
And you look at their roster, like they have a lot of talent. It's just more about fit, right? And so I
Yeah.
think that in order to fix that, I mean, you have to make some deals because they have some guys that have value,
Yeah.
Don't they have
Yeah.
Otto Porter too? That's so
Yeah,
random.
they do. They do
Like,
have Otto Porter.
yeah, it's so random. Precious too, and yeah, Thaddeus Young. Like this is like when in 2K when you don't finish your draft and like the CPU does it and they just draft like 4 power forwards or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the hell just happened? I have no
More
backup
like,
point guard. I have no, you know
more
what I
like
mean?
12 power forwards though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the tweet of the century was, it was a Raptors fan, and he was like, what the hell is this team? He was like, the only other point guard we have is Malachi Flynn, and he doesn't even play. And we have like 6 guys, 6'8" out there, and he's like, I don't even know what I'm looking at.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I don't know, dude.
but
The Raptors are interesting.
I don't know.
Well, let's call it a night.
Yeah.
But thank you everyone that tuned in. Hopefully we planned on this being more regular last time.
Yeah, that
we
didn't really happen.
we just show, just busy times for all of us and Mike, who not here tonight. But hopefully we can get some consistency going and be back next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Well, thanks, man.
Thank you, man.
Okay.
Shout out.
Care. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, shout out if you're checking us out on the podcast version. Make sure you like, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We appreciate you guys. Leave us a review as well.
Cool.